those things.
Fair enough.
I'm so bad at all those things. Anything
Hello there, everyone. My name is Waba, and what you're about to watch is Mental Health Monday. It's a podcast that I do every single week live on Twitch, link in the description below. We talk with 1 to 2 guests, sometimes 3, on a topic of the month, and purely I'm just asking them about their experience with this topic. Either they have personally gone through this or they have dealt with it in some manner in a personal way. The purpose of these talks is to bring education to others and to bring awareness to these issues, and that mental health is real, mental health matters, it's okay to not be okay, and more to the point, it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to reach out for help. There's a lot that goes into Mental Health Monday. It's very intentional, and we have a bit of a check-in usually before the talks. In addition, I myself am trained as a mental health counselor. I have a master's in mental health counseling. Now, I never, ever, ever will claim that I am anyone's therapist online. I'm a mental health advocate and I will share resources to the day I die. But as far as help goes, I highly encourage anyone out there to seek your own help. I have resources both on my Twitch page, but also in my Discord under resources, and highly encourage anyone to seek professional help if you are struggling with something that the people on my podcast are talking about with their experiences. In addition, they're raw, uncut, and unscripted. I usually have a few questions to kind of structure it a little bit, but we might go off the rails sometimes, have some casual conversations. Other questions might be asked, delving into details. All things considered, I put a content warning out there at the beginning of my talks usually, right before we jump into them. And it's just to say, hey, show some respect, towards the guests and their stories, first of all, obviously. But more importantly, if a topic comes up that might be potentially triggering, feel free to click off the video, feel free, to click off the stream, during the stream, or mute the tab, whatever, come back when you feel comfortable. I don't wish to trigger anyone, but I want these talks to be as unrestricted as possible so that folks can tell their story in their best words. Your discretion is advised depending on the nature of the subject. So with that out of the way, I just want to welcome you into this video. Feel free to skip ahead as well. I'll put a timestamp in the description. And with that, enjoy Mental Health Monday and welcome into the Waba fam, your mental health talk place and queer safe space. Take care. Hello. Oop. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Not bad. How you doing?
I am alive.
Yeah. Sometimes, like in the retail level pleasantries that one encounters on a daily, when asked how I'm doing, I just kind of do a guttural moan, almost like Midsummer-esque, the shedding of grief, and it's authentic. I'm not sure it's appreciated, but it works.
I know. So exciting. We have Frenden here. This is Frenden, everyone. Introduce yourself. What do you do? I know what you do.
I mostly talk on no, actually. So I've been a freelance illustrator for about 20 years. I mostly am a mercenary drawing arm for other people, or was. But over the last about year or so, I just do personal work largely in the tabletop RPG space. I was streaming a ton on Twitch. I've cooled on that a bit because I've got some meat space stuff going on right now. But yeah, I just draw
Meat
stuff.
space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Love
meats.
that.
It's the meat flapping that we perceive in the universe in our current level of dimensionality. Just the sloppy, wet meat sounds. That's what we're in.
And also, you're famous, so I'm gonna gain 17 clouds from this, obviously.
Oh yeah, and actually, our social score in any country that tracks it is
Social credit
going.
score plus 9,000 because you worked for such companies such as insert company name here.
That's my favorite company. How did you know?
Wow. I wish insert company name here would sponsor me and my streams.
I I was sponsored for a little while by two
Really?
companies early
Wow.
on. In a so I'm old. I'll put that out there, and I got to be an influencer before the internet knew what an influencer really did or was needed to disclaim that they were doing in either case. And
Right.
I thought I was getting hired to do illustration work for said companies, and it turned out they just wanted me to post about them on social, and I was very confused. And they were companies that I don't align with morally either, but I was broken on a farm in the middle of nowhere and was like, I would like monies for a roof over my head, and yeah, life's weird. Life's fucking weird.
Life is weird, and now you're on this talk show, and I'm carrying a cat. So, what else is new? Oh, I should probably put on music on because I like ambient music in the
It's good.
background.
Yeah,
It's
it
chill.
helps.
It's relaxing.
Hmm.
Anyway, hi. We're here to talk about relationships and abuse, and
Hmm.
boy howdy, I think you've mentioned before that you've had stories about this kind of thing.
Yeah. So should
Too
I
fun.
maybe just start with like the narrow path bona fides of kind of what I've been through, or do we not want to like trauma dump truck straight at the top?
Um, what do you think is best? Because I usually go from like defining stuff to then like how did it all start? Like, were you born on a small farm in the middle of nowhere, and then your parents, did a little smack smack, and then that fucked
Hmm.
you up for life, kind of thing? Because that's
Sure.
usually like how these things go.
Hmm. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, then tell you what. I'll be your canvas. Wash your streaming brush against me. Let me be your impasto, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm an open book, especially if it helps other people.
Yeah,
I
that's the
try
point.
not to just throw that stuff out into the ether unless prompted. But I'm happy to talk about absolutely any aspect of my life.
Start at the beginning. When was your? How about this? We'll say it
Mhm.
this way. What was your first relationship like with anyone, friend wise, romantic wise?
Okay. So
I mean, parents obviously is probably the first one.
sure, yeah. So my dad, I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the '80s. So that whole like, you know, murder capital of the U.S. thing.
Is that true?
Yeah. And I grew up in the bad part of Chicago, so not like the
Mm-hmm.
Gold Coast that was all gentrified.
Mm.
My dad was an ex-gang member. He was functionally illiterate. Um, that was one of the reasons why we couldn't like get out of that neighborhood. But the other was they they liked the dysfunction of it.
Did
It's just yeah.
did you have an absent father then? Because you said he was a gang
No,
leader.
he
No.
was he was in gangs. He was around. He
Wow.
was abusive,
Mm.
physically and sexually. My
To you,
mother, yeah, and
Jesus.
also abused my cousins who learned how to be abusive from him and repeated that cycle on me too. So I got it. I got it a few ways.
Well,
And
yikes.
yeah, and my mom had Munchausen by proxy.
Oh
Uh,
God.
so so while that was happening, I
Also
was
define
also
Munchausen by proxy for our kids at
sure.
home.
Absolutely. So Munchausen by proxy is typically where somebody gets attention by making their kid sick or making their kid appear sick, so they can get attention and sympathy from other people. There have been a couple recent like Netflix and Hulu originals about it. And they mostly kind of get their hands around it, but long story made somewhat shorter. I was on steroids I didn't need, asthma medication I didn't need, allergy medication I didn't need, a heart monitor I didn't need, glasses I didn't need, risers in my shoes I didn't need, and I spent a lot of time stuck in that home, which wasn't a very good home. And My story kind of starts there, but the stuff that I find most traumatic in my life actually came after the beginning chapter. Um, so there was a drive-by shooting, and the family car was riddled with bullets. Somebody died in the passenger seat, and I was 15 years old. And I told my parents like I'm not gonna drive in that car anymore. I'm not gonna do it. And it was because it was a gang affiliated car. My dad was still somewhat like known for that. My sister was dating a gang member at the time, and they told me, well, it's like our house, our rules, which sometimes can be healthy in a normal parental situation, but when your parents are bad actors and unreliable narrators, their opinion on this was skewed, obviously. And so I packed everything I had into two trash bags, and I spent a year on a mixture of friends' couches and park benches. Um, then I ended up meeting the person who was my first long-term relationship, which is kind of where the question started, who was also abusive for a very long time. And so that's actually, that second chapter is the one that affected me the most, because the first one I felt like I owned. I made the choice to get out of Dodge. You know, I got out of there at 15 and I took some control. I had some closure. But it was actually the
How old are
lasting...
you now? Just for.
Sure. So I'm 40. I turned 40 in last October.
So, God, I'm going to make a giant assumption that you've gone to therapy about like your childhood trauma, because like you skipped over those for 15 years in like 5 minutes. I feel.
Yeah,
It's
so
just like, oh yeah, by the way, my dad, sexually abused me and taught my cousins to do the same to me as well. Like,
yeah,
what? You can't just.
I've been
Yeah.
very good about compartmentalizing.
I get it.
and
No, I get that entirely.
closing. I actually hadn't gone to therapy until I was 38 years old, and
Really?
when I was 38,
It's wild.
when I was 38 was when that relationship that started when I was about 17 ended. So it's kind of been it's been a fast recovery to normalcy for me, and in large part because I realized a lot of the things that I thought were broken about me were situational, and as soon as I started to take control of the things that I could, I felt a lot better about them. And I started to move forward to a place where, like, I'm not gonna lie, man, my life's pretty good right now. It's pretty good, and
I have to
it's
agree
taken
with
a little
you.
while to get there, but
Even from
you
someone
know.
outside looking in, like, when I first like met you on your streams, I was just like, yo, this guy's got his life together. I love it. He has his wife. He's just drawing shit. It's great.
Yeah.
He has an awesome chat. Like,
Yeah, the community is great, right?
they
And they were
are.
there with me at the start of
Right.
that recovery, and so two things happened.
Amazing.
When I left home, I did the homeless thing for a little while.
Right.
And
Also, we had a question
yeah,
before. What suburb did you grow up in? Because Mikan's actually from Chicago.
so not suburb. I grew up on 37th and Kedzie on the south side.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Doxed.
And so, yeah, it's fine. Again, open book. Like, I talk about this stuff all the time on my own stream, too. I will say that because I did, like, start to finally unpack that early trauma at 38, there was a brief period where I was unintentionally trauma dumping. It was like, oh, this is stuff I've never talked about. Everybody can hear about it. I own it now. And that wasn't good either, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So it's just like, because you like, yeah, I mean, you compartmentalize so much that like you get so detached from the emotions of the situation that's just kind of like, oh yeah, and today the sky was blue, the grass was green, and my father sexually assaulted me when I was 7. Like
Absolutely.
you can just say it so casually. I get
and
that.
you think that's empowering, right? But at some point, that's actually giving people all that information. Actually, is not
very hurtful.
Yeah, safety. Yeah.
And it's a safety concern as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, what? Like, trigger, like, massive, like, what the fuck? So anyway, I don't know if anyone from your community is here tonight, but if they are, hi.
Yeah, you know what? I was I've been like packing for a trip, and so I probably
you said you're going to Disney.
I'm for the first time going to Disney World. I realized that Disney World is also in the news lately for not being the best, but I just want to go once at least to see what it's about. But yeah, so
Haha, chat. You got baited. Hi, Jen.
Jen's my partner. She's amazing. She's probably she is the largest reason that I'm in a good place, because I've learned like what a healthy relationship looks like.
Hell yeah.
And that can be a little rough too. Is like, I used to do a lot of shelter animal work, and when a dog's abused, they flinch when they're about to be pet, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the intentionality of that hand coming at you. You're just used to that muscle memory. And for me, it was kind of the same thing at first. Like, I was always waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, when are people going to be mean to me, right?
Same.
And finding good people out there over the last year and a half has been really healthy for me, and I'm really happy for it.
I agree. And unfortunately, you may or may not know, but we had a lot of like streamer interviews that we've been doing, specifically about like mental health and how it's affected content creation for people, and affected, and vice versa, how content creation affected their mental health. And a lot of times there's a lot of folks out there in the content creation world that kind of create very unhealthy, toxic relationships with streamers and convince them like, oh, this is the way you have to grow, by, you know, attaching yourself to me, and like only I can like bring you up, kind of thing.
Interesting.
You
So
know,
it's a
hold people
kind of
captive.
grooming too, then.
It's a grooming, it's a grifting type scam bullshit stuff. You know, your typical MLMs.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, all the same, the the eventual kind of like result of all this was that people had unhealthy views, and were kind of like, are always like ready to be like, I'm gonna suss you out, like, and they close themselves off to potential like really good, you know, friendships, relationships, communities, etc., so forth,
Yeah,
because
it's
there's that
interesting.
fear.
It's an interesting thing you bring up, like the predilection towards closing oneself off, right? And I've always been the opposite. I'm not just an extrovert. I'm like an extrovert. Like I'll talk to anybody
Yeah.
about anything at length. I'm the king of German goodbyes, and for me, throughout all my life, one of my coping mechanisms is to be the person with a lampshade on their head, because it turns out a lampshade's a pretty good mask too. And I find that people either shut down or they go too far. It's like the person who dealt with sexual abuse and then becomes like extremely sexual to try to own it, right? And
Right.
it's finding that happy medium is real fucking rough, especially when you've touched the hot stove.
That's true. I mean, I'm not gonna ever judge anyone's like recovery journey of like, you know, whatever they need to do to help process and take control. Because especially when it comes to sexual stuff, and I'm probably sure you could relate to this. A big thing when it comes to like, you know, if you've been, well, you have, I think you've said so, that you've been raped,
Hmm.
is it's control. It's a power struggle.
Yeah,
It's more about power than it is about sex. So to regain that power for yourself in future encounters is fucking huge. And some people take that to like a super empowerment stance, which I fucking love. And they, you know, they either get into sex work themselves or they do something else, and they're, you know, very
sure.
extravagant in the way that they go about it, or, you know, they get into kink play, a lot of stuff. I've seen firsthand how kink can really help someone heal from trauma, because a
Sure.
lot of kink is about power and control, and, you know, consent, pretty much.
Yeah, like so an interesting thing, like the one of the things I've seen as a passerby in those communities, not somebody that's really dipped a toe, but just has friends that do, like anybody, you know, like you're
Right.
aware culturally, is I play a shit ton of D&D, and I promise this ties in,
I
but a lot
love
of it is
D&D.
like empowering role play, you know, like
Yeah.
the safety of set boundaries.
Oh yeah, there's always a
Yeah,
session zero where it's just like, hey, what are
yeah,
you okay with in a game? What themes are you okay with? What themes you aren't okay with, etc. So forth.
yep,
Get that completely.
yeah, yep, and finding that space for play is important. Just finding any way to take power back, and also find like a safe play space is it's pretty fucking big. I think something you'll appreciate.
Hmm.
So
I appreciate
um,
most everything you've said so far.
okay, okay,
To be
fair.
fair, I
All right,
have a
well,
pretty low,
your appreciation bar is a limbo bar. Okay, well in that case, I'm golden.
basically. Yeah, pretty
But
much.
so when I did finally get therapy at
Yes.
38, one of the things that I struggled with was my worth as a person, and also like having some sense of
Mm,
my sexuality that
right.
was not just a reflection of how other people valued my sexuality, right? Like my own
Right.
value to it. Well, I got invited by my counselor, who is a member of RAIN. It's for
Mm-hmm.
survivors of rape and incest. They do really
Yes, it
good work.
is.
So the reason I want to say they do really good work is because I don't want the story I'm about to tell about this counselor to scare people away from using the organization, because they do good work.
Mm,
Um, but my counselor um, made some like kind of inappropriate jokes with me throughout the
mm,
initial like feeling me out. And I was like, okay, maybe they're just trying to be like familiar and show that they're comfortable talking about things in a not serious way. Like I didn't know what their intention was. And then they said,
Sure.
well, you know what, you've got like a really good story. We have some men in our group who don't feel comfortable sharing their story. They're gonna be really empowering if you came on and showed them that like it can be safe too, that you can do that. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so I get in a Zoom call, and this is during the heights of COVID, because again, like a year
Right.
and a half ago. And so I get in a Zoom call, and it turned out to just be her friends and coworkers in the call. No other people being counseled.
Ooh, that's really weird.
And then she proceeds to talk about the companies I've worked for and how cool my art is, and it feels more like a date than like a group therapy session. And I finally ask, I'm
Yeah.
like, is anybody else coming? Because I thought I was supposed to like talk. Oh well, so and so is supposed to show up, but they didn't. But I figured we could just hang. And I'm like, okay, that seems weird. But again, new to therapy, like I don't know what norms are at this point, right?
Yeah, and my therapy trained ass is just like, this is super fucking unethical.
Well, and that's the thing. I know you do counseling, so I know you're gonna appreciate this story for being
Oh.
fucking bizarre. And so one of the people in the call says like, "Oh, you should get this book. It's really good." And I said, let me see if I've got something here I can hold up. And I use humor to diffuse. It's what I do. Like I'm a fucking goofball.
Same.
And I said, "This book?" And I made a joke of it because I was feeling super uncomfortable. I had the book. I'd read the book, right? And the lady in the call, not my therapist, but her friend, her coworker that's in the call, says, "Oh, can you do that again, but slower?" And this is ostensibly people that know that I'm a survivor of, sex abuse.
Yeah.
And it felt really gross. And so I tapered off the sessions. I kind of fell out of therapy, and I moved to be closer to my now partner. And when I did, my therapist was like, "I'd like to have like a closeout session with you," or the counselors was like, "I'd like to have a closeout session with you, try to get you set up with Rain where you're moving, etc." I was like, "Man, you are fucking weird, but okay." And I get there, and she tells me like, "I'd really like to stay in touch. I think we could be close friends. We could be good friends."
Yikes.
And I said, "Isn't there something like ethically wrong with that?" And her response was, "Well, I told I don't remember if it was manager or what she's director, what the
Supervisor.
word was. Supervisor, okay." She's like, "I told my higher up. I told my higher up that I wanted to continue a friendship with you, and they said typically like it's 2 years.
You have to wait at least
Yeah.
2 years, at
Yeah.
least.
And her response to this was, in the same breath, "I told him that's not happening." And so yeah, it was not good when like coming off a lifetime of being objectified and feeling shitty about it, to have that happen with the first person that had also provided therapy to me.
She wasn't providing therapy.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And like she would send me like links to. So I had told her like, if this current relationship doesn't work out, not that there was any reason it wouldn't, but I was like, if this one doesn't, because it was going so well, I was like, I don't know what would. I'm just gonna be a monk. Like I made a joke during one of our sessions, and
Right.
she's like, well, then I've got the thing for you. And she sent me a link to a local, in where I lived, a local like adult sex toy shop. And I was like, what the fuck? Like every interaction, every chance this lady had to like take the correct path, she just veered into the opposite. And
No.
yeah, so
Yeah,
that
just
was that
no.
was a fucking weird one.
Just
Yeah.
no. Just no.
Yeah.
Overall, no. I mean, it's very. I mean, in my professional opinion, it's obvious. It seems obvious to me that she probably had attraction to you, and was high key projecting it and letting it affect everything, every interaction. Like, super unethical. She could probably have lost her license for that alone, because that could easily count as just like sexual harassment right there.
It's funny, I brought that up when she made the joke about her supervisor, right? And she's like, I always like grant writing better anyway.
How much fucking privilege does she have? Like, Jesus Christ. That she's that confident that, yeah, I can lose my job, I'll be fine. Yeah. Fuck you. Like, this is, oh my god, this is, okay. Ooh, I went on rants before about this, but this is why This is why there's boards of review. This is why there's boards of ethics, because people like her can be held responsible and she can lose a relationship and she'll be fucking blacklisted.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks that, detail themselves as peer support, or like peer counselor or whatever the fuck, unprotected terms, they can harm you, but they can't be held responsible for it. Maybe a bad review, well, you can just delete the bad review,
Right.
And again, peer support's not a substitute for actual professional counseling. And yes, professional counselors can fuck up, such as she did, and be unethical, but they can also be held fucking accountable for it.
Well, and the thing that was interesting was, I wonder if she wasn't used to giving this counseling to a guy.
Doesn't matter.
Because, no, I'm not saying it justifies it. It's an explanation, not a justification, right?
Yeah, I know.
Because
sorry, I'm being reactive.
Typically, no, I get it. Like, your hackles are up, and I understand why, because mine are too about this, right? But, oh shit, what was I gonna say? So essentially, I think it was that thing where, like, typically you get the thing where patients imprint on their doctors because of the empathy and the care. Well, I think it was going in the opposite direction. Like, oh, you've been through the things I've been through, and you seem like a nice guy.
I see.
So, yeah, it was very like, we're in this together, and I'm like, I actually need a counselor, not a friend. Like, what is this?
All right. Well, can't show that on stream. But yeah, for sure. It's definitely a shitty situation either way. And even if that was like her first male client that she like super connected to, her supervisor should have been like, absolutely not. But maybe she was hiding shit from her supervisor. So,
that's what I suspect.
Who knows?
That's what I suspect.
Who fucking knows for real?
Yeah, the one of the reasons I bring it up is because when you have gone through this kind of stuff, like, I often feel like, do I have a scent on me? Like, do people that predate, like, see this or see a sign, know what to look for in the person that has dealt with this stuff and, like, fainting goats when it happens, because it does feel like when you are raw and open about it puts a bullseye on you a little bit. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the unbottling and then tapering off. Like, she was a pretty big lesson in that, of like, I really have to be choosy about who I talk to about this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that I've kind of proven myself to be a trustworthy type person. I never intend to cause harm. I only try to make this to be therapeutic and educational for those watching at home. And obviously I try to set like mad fucking boundaries about everything. So
yeah, well, and that's the only way to be healthy about it. That ironically was the thing, like, one of the things I was worst at that I was in therapy for is like, my coping skills are kind of and I'm terrible at boundaries. And meanwhile, she's like, boundaries, boop, like honks the truck horn, drives straight through. It's like, oh shit. Now I need therapy from my therapist.
Your therapist needed a therapist.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hate that for you. I mean, the other thing is like you said, do you have like a bullseye on your, like, like, is there like a big point sign that says fuck with me? And I think that's just like innate of being like, God, I'm gonna use this term and I don't mean this term, but that's innate of being, I was gonna say a nice guy. No, it's innate of being a nice person.
Oh shit, did a fedora just sprung out of my head like spontaneous generation. Oh no, but no, I know what you mean. And so I think that ties back into the thing we were talking about parasocial online communities earlier. People sometimes can take kindness, attention, and interest as like a sexual advance or a welcome sign. And that stuff's hard too, because I am gregarious. Jen had said earlier, like, I made friends with the guy next to me at the gas station pump earlier. And truth be told, I did. Like, I talked to everybody about anything. And yes, you are correct. The kindness can be an open door to some folks to be like, I can do anything, right?
It is. It was definitely for my own life as well. Like, people used me and stepped all over me because I kind of let them. But also they kind of guilt tripped me to be like, well, if you don't do this, then you're not a nice person anymore. And then I'm like, well, I'm a nice person. I like to help out people who are in a gym. And oh, they sound like they're in a gym. Let me help them out. It's okay. And like I gave myself excuses. They gave themselves excuses. I just fucking fell for every trick of the book, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I've done that
Fucking
dance
hell.
plenty because I'm kind of a people pleaser and I have a hard time setting boundaries. So those two things stewed in a pot kind of gives you that scenario, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the thing was like that relationship that I got into. She was older and she met me when I was 16 and homeless, and she was wealthier, and there was a weird power dynamic there from the start. And that situation just ended up being an abuse situation from somebody who herself was abused. So now I had my childhood trauma from my own abusers, plus I was dealing with her secondhand childhood trauma, which is like secondhand smoke. It was like I got all, like if you're trying not to repeat the cycle of the people that abused you, now I've got my cycle to deal with and hers, you know. And that relationship took me to a farm in the middle of nowhere for 10 years, which was like solitary confinement. So I spent like 16 to about like 17 to about 27, 28 on a farm in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Do you know how to
Uh,
start a cult?
okay, we've made the joke that the art community I'm in, we're just gonna start like a commune, like an art
Oh,
co-op
I
commune.
know, I know.
Yeah, and but no, fuck no, do not want.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, because that's too
Do
much
you
responsibility
not
for
want to
one.
be part of the Wabology cult? No. Fool!
I mean, well, I'm gonna say with graphics like that, how can I resist?
Exactly.
And so, what kind of Kool-Aid and when is all I have in response.
The very very official registered religion, not a cult, of Wabology or Wabaology,
Okay.
as I like to call it,
Okay.
is all about mindfulness and mental health and taking care of yourself. And the four cats represent the four tenets of Wabology.
Okay.
We have Waba. We have Nero the lazy, representing the need to rest and take what time you need for yourself.
Okay.
We have Sky the needy, representing the need, the emotional needs that everyone has. We have
Okay.
Angel the floof bastard, representing the need to feel good about oneself and look their best self, and make sure that they're washing themselves and stuff. And then we have Sticky the sharp one, who represents when you run out of spoons, you only have forks left.
I consider myself more of a spork person in
That's
terms of
fair.
my daily limits, so I think I'm going to
Sporks are
align with
allowed.
option 4. Okay, good, good,
Sporks are
good.
allowed. But also, are you team doors or team wheels?
You know, if I have a good set of wheels, I can bust down any door. So I'm
No,
going team
no,
wheels.
no. Damn it. The question is, are there more wheels or are there more doors in the world? My answer is doors, by the most liberal definition of doors and wheels.
I would agree. I would agree. There are a lot of places in the world where wheels aren't as common as doors, and so if you add it all up, you know, a lot of people abroad have shit. You know, this is tougher than it looks. I'm gonna pose something to you back. How about that? That's how I'm gonna get you back for this fucking moral
Okay.
quandary you put me in. I had a friend once, and this was a running dialect that we would fucking talk about.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
he was gifted a table from a dead grandparent. It was a family heirloom, and this table's value
Ooh,
was almost exactly enough to purchase a brand new jet ski if sold.
that's pretty cool.
And so, table or jet ski? What do you pick? Lady or the Tiger? Table or jet ski?
Table or a jet ski? What kind of table is this?
Just a fancy old antique table that's worth the cost of a jet ski.
It's worth the cost. I would choose the table, and I'll tell you
Okay.
why.
Okay.
Because if I can keep the table
Mhm.
in pristine condition,
Yeah.
the value of it is just going to rise.
Sure.
Because it's antique and it's
Yeah.
furniture. As opposed to a jet ski is it's just going to rust naturally over time. So it's going to be a lot harder to keep that, stable, say so to speak. Plus, the value of a jet ski is just going to go down over time no matter what. Whether you use it or not, it's just sitting there and gathering dust. It's not useful. So you might have fun with the jet ski, but the table will basically be your inheritance in 50 years from now.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like a famous table that's like worth that much.
Well, I initially had this conversation when I was about 18 years old with that friend. And my answer then was jet ski all the way, because I was 18 and I just wanted to zoom on things. But
this is metaphorical as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, through time and distance, I've come to your side. I am now a table person. Yeah.
It's like the logical long game choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the experiment where they tell kids they can have a cookie now,
right?
Or if they wait, they can have 2 cookies.
Wait
right?
5 minutes, you can have 2 cookies. Yeah. It's classic experiment on patience and how different kids cope with that. Some kids just give in instantly and they're just like, other kids like fixate on the cookie and stare at it. Other kids like turn away or like do other sorts of distractions. It's great. It's really cool.
It's really good. Delayed gratification is not something that comes naturally to a lot of people, it turns out.
Nope.
Yeah.
Is a trap door a door? Yes. A door? Okay, listen. You want my door wheels debate? All right. Most liberal definition of door is anything that has a hinge, can open and close and let something in or out. I'm counting valves as in your heart and in your various arteries, so that's why I'm saying doors. I'm counting any cabinets, any like doors in rooms, houses, hotels, etc., so forth. And then for wheel side, I'm saying anything that turns another thing, because they're both mechanical in nature. A door has to let something in and out, and a gear has to turn something else. So someone was like, oh, blood cells are wheels. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're just circles. They don't mechanically turn something else. Gears turn something else, and there's a whole lot of gears and a whole lot of machinery out there. Fans are wheels in a way, like the thing that spins the fan. You know, like there's a lot of different wheels out there. But I think that because humans have doors, and I think we have more than just our heart doors, we have other valves, I think.
This is getting surprisingly deep. Like, open the doors to your heart and ponder this philosophical question.
Well, Zypress, I don't know if he might be busy tonight, but like Zypress went off on this in that metaphysical kind of way of just like, you know, aren't we all just doors going through life? You know, do we truly open ourselves up to others and other people's experiences?
Well,
now that's gonna be my default saying is, hello, doors. Let me in.
I really find this argument adorable.
Canceled. Get him out of here.
All right, so that was my appearance. Everybody else. But yeah, no, I'm team door then. After hearing the further classification of what constitutes a door and wheel.
Aren't we all just doors going through the wheels of life? Life has many doors, head boy.
Like sands in the hourglass, these are the doors of our lives.
Yes, team doors. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to clickbait my mental health Monday stuff a little bit more, so I can get them sweet views and we can have genuine conversations with more people.
Yeah.
So now I have a title. Hashtag team doors. So anyway, how was your abusive relationship between the ages of 17 and 38? What the fuck's up with that?
So, she was abused too, right? And I thought love could fix anything. I hadn't had a healthy relationship ever.
Totally, yeah. It's the solution to everything. You just gotta love each other so tight that it's like, it's fine, you'll glue back together.
Right, and I didn't know shit.
That's called being enmeshed.
Yeah, exactly. Codependency.
Codependency, cool.
And so the thing that was... I learned immediately that it was not good, but I was also 16 and had just gotten off of being homeless and was terrified of going back because I was living in the worst neighborhood in the United States homeless. Like, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so she did a couple things pretty immediately. She moved me far away from where I was, so I was isolated.
Step one of being adult.
Yeah, exactly. And her who she was changed immediately. I would get locked outside naked.
What?
I would, yep. I'd get locked outside naked. I'd be locked into a room with loud music playing, almost like Guantanamo Bay style. Um,
The
I
fuck?
I was physically abused by that person as
Yeah,
well. Uh, I
naturally.
have I have them on tape saying, "I remember that time that I choked you, but not that one," as a valid counter argument to me saying they abused me. like I remember that
Hey.
time I choked you unconscious, but not that one. You're making that up. I'm like, oh, sorry for gaslighting you about passing out when you choked me. Um,
Oh my god.
yeah, and so
That's
that was a
great.
whole ass thing. And I did what a lot of people that are abused do, and especially because I was out in the middle of nowhere and working on a farm like 10 plus hours a day just to survive. Like it was a subsistence farm. Like I grew my own food for 10 fucking years.
Wild.
Um, and um, and so I was in the middle of nowhere. I was doing that, and I did the thing a lot of people do. Because of the abuse, I gained a lot of weight, like trying to make
Mm-hmm.
myself undesirable and to protect myself. And what it ended up doing was isolating me even further because I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't want to go out in public. I thought I was agoraphobic, but it was entirely situational. And the moment I left that situation, I was my old self where I loved going out all the time and being with people.
Yeah.
And one thing really interesting happened. A lot of people like get healthy after they end a bad relationship. Like they start to focus on themselves, yada yada.
Sure.
Well, a weird thing happened. I hit 30, and I was like, this isn't working. I'm gonna try to like focus on my career more, and my career started to do better. And then I hit about like 35, and I was like, oh, this career stuff's going pretty good. I have some self worth all of a sudden. I'm gonna focus on myself, and I lost about 130 pounds.
Damn.
And all that time, the person was like super down on it, and I didn't understand. Like you're abusive and shitty, but like why this? Like frankly, they use me as a sexual object, so like why is me looking better bad for you? Like if I'm looking at it from their terms, trying to understand it. And what I didn't realize is that the way I looked and me not having confidence was another lever of control, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
And so I lost the weight. I started to feel good about myself. I was having some success in my career. And then I met a person who treated me with kindness for the first time ever in like a long fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the final like pile it was the final pebble on a pile of rocks that
Yeah.
ended up being the foundation for like this second half of my life. And I left that situation, and things have just been off to the races for me since.
How'd you
And
leave it? Because it sounds like she really had you trapped down.
so I actually so what happened was I met this person,
Yep.
and I had feelings for them, and I've never cheated or anything. And so I went to this partner, and I was like, you know what, I have feelings for somebody else, and I haven't done anything, but just the fact that I'm having these feelings means like love can't fix anything. This is going nowhere. Like I understand what somebody being kind to me is now after all this time, and it's not this. Um, and she actually pulled out a gun. Um,
Naturally, as one
yeah,
does.
yeah. And she pulled out a gun and she threatened herself with
Oh
the
yeah.
gun.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. I'll kill
yeah,
myself if you leave me. Mm,
yep.
classic.
And that bought some time. I said like, no, like we'll give it a shot. We'll try. We'll do therapy for the first time together. Like, just agree to do this with me finally. And
Yeah,
so she
therapy will fix
did.
everything, right?
Yeah. And so she agreed to do it, and I got like a week into the therapy, and the cracks were already starting to show on like her being a new better person. Like she just couldn't keep it up. Like you can't ask a sociopath to pretend all the time when you're living with them. Like it just doesn't work.
Yep.
And so I told her, I'm like, no, this isn't gonna this I'm not gonna waste your time or my time. This isn't working.
Yep.
And the thing that I did though, um I recorded a lot of those final conversations where she admitted to doing terrible things. And that's actually what bought me the space to get out without retribution. And it's fucked up, but that's how it worked.
Yeah.
Um, and I got the fuck out of there. I met a few friends online who were some of the people I ended up streaming with at first. And I was able to just get out of there. I started a new life. Like the one of the biggest levers that was used against me was like, no one's gonna like you or care about you or love you. You're stuck with me. We're both fucked up. We're both abused. Only I get what you are. Like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I realized, like, oh, that actually isn't true. Like I have worth outside of the way you perceive me. Uh,
Absolutely.
then after that, it was easy because In the same way that I cut ties with my parents when I was 15,
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of starting over from scratch. So I left with nothing again. I've started over my life a few times. I left home at 15 with 2 trash bags to my name. When I was 30 and on that farm, um, there were no economic opportunities. Like the farm was going under, and so I left there. I piled what I could into a van. I moved to Austin, Texas, with nothing to my name again at about 30, and I did again at 38 when I left that relationship. And I'm just not attached to stuff. About the only like objects that matter to me are my tabletop books. That's it. Like I packed those into a van and I got the fuck out of the marriage. Is basically what it was, and I started from zero again. And I'd rather do that a million times over than spend the rest of my life stuck in a situation where I'm just not loved or cared for, and frankly, am
Mm.
abused. Like I'll make that
Yeah.
choice every time.
As you should. So how did you find Jen?
So I was as I was starting to come on like get that confidence to finally put myself back out into the world. I hadn't posted photos of myself like online in forever. I always was curious about art streaming, and I wanted to play tabletop with people after a decade of being on the farm in the middle of nowhere, not getting
Mhm.
to and collecting the books. And I met an online group in Discord because I was watching Twitch for my social fix like during that time because I
Sure.
just didn't have friends. I was frankly my friends were isolated from me,
So this was
right?
only like about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so despite the fact, and here's the irony, right? From the outside, I've worked with Nickelodeon, I've worked on SpongeBob
Right.
stuff, Ren and Stimpy stuff, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've worked for just about every major band on the planet. Like from the outside, like man, this guy's got his shit together. He's a pro illustrator. But I was actually like on a farm in solitary confinement in the middle of nowhere, just working because art was the only thing that kept me sane. And so I finally start to put myself out there. I meet these friends on Twitch that are playing tabletop. I start streaming tabletop with them, and she raided into my chat. Uh,
Wild.
and and she was kind. Go figure. There are kind people out there.
There's a lot of kind people on Twitch.
Yeah, yeah. And so there are probably people in both of our audience who can relate to not having people locally who you connect with, and finding that camaraderie online in communities, and that's kind of what turned me around. It flipped the choke and it pulled the cord, and my little engine just kind of went in the right direction for a while. And I met the right people, and I had some momentum, and my life got better. It's that's just kind of all it is.
It's wild. Fucking wild luck.
We joke like the odds that we met each other when we did at the perfect time in the right way are so slim. I will never take that for granted. She is absolutely the single like best person, thing, experience, happenstance, coincidence that has occurred in this very long and weird life. And I've seen weird things.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You're from Chicago.
Yeah, I use hard A's. Okay, it's Almond and Alley. Yeah, I'm Chicago. Yeah.
I'd like to be clear that I liked his chat's presence first. Didn't realize his face on the screen.
Well, so this is a funny thing. So about that
Yeah.
story, right? She raids into the chat I'm streaming in, right?
Right.
And separately, she's like, "Oh, that guy's kind of cute, but hey, this person in chat is like chatting with me, and he's really funny." What she didn't know is I was the person in chat chatting during the
Oh
stream.
my god.
And she joins the Discord, and we're hitting it off, like just everything in common that you'd want. The areas where we don't have something in common, there's like a gear system where we just fit. And she's like, I love horror movies. I'd love like a Discord to like hang out and watch horror movies in.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, oh, I've got one of those. Fucking have one of those. I spun a Discord up in like 3 seconds, slapped an icon on it, made horror channels. I was like, yeah, we got that. Like immediately it was like let's hang out more. You seem neat. And that's, yeah, man. Like I am so lucky. I am so lucky to have met her when I did, when I was ready for it finally.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful.
It's wild. Wild story. Hi. How's it going?
Great. I drove all the way home without noticing that my passenger side mirror was folded in.
Oh no. Are you good?
I'm fine.
Okay. I'm glad you're fine. Also,
Literally, didn't even notice the whole time.
right, I need to tell you this because I'm on stream right now. We're probably gonna get sponsored by Chips Ahoy because look at this. It's an empty bag. It's only air and crumbs. How are we gonna fix this, Chips Ahoy? How are we gonna fix this? I DM'd you on Twitter. Hashtag sponsor me. My pain, it can be felt. The pain!
There's nothing I love more than the spending the currency of social media clout
Don't know
for
that,
stuff
please.
like this airline needs to not charge me the extra baggage fee. I live for that tea and that drama. Like, I fucking love when people just, like, influencers in the wild, like, push that thumb on the scale of, like, I want that Call of Duty mug that was only available for a week. I stream it every day. Give it to me.
They should give it to me. That's right.
I agree.
Give me
We
a year
deserve
of
everything.
cookies.
We're awesome.
I would like that.
Give streamers everything. Just give them your life savings. You're not using it. That's a joke.
No, there's nothing problematic about that whatsoever.
No, nothing problematic about begging for subs or money or anything like that. That's ridiculous. Nah.
No, I know what you mean though. Like, so
Yes.
remember those early days when I said I was sponsored by a company?
Yes.
So that was about when I was 30. I had just moved from the farm that I lost to Austin, and that was like when I started focusing my career, right?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I'd worked for big companies at that point, but I had never been a social presence to the point where like people were trying to make me an influencer. So I had no idea how it worked. And
Right.
in the vein of like no ethical consumption under capitalism, I've worked for like I do pretty good about trying to stay away from companies I don't like, but I also didn't know at the time that Harley Davidson was so shitty, right? And they contacted me and they're like, "Hey, we want to like
What's
have
so shitty
you...
about Harley Davidson? I'm
they
just not aware.
they support a lot of right wing causes. Like,
Oh,
is
that
the
doesn't
long and
surprise me.
short of it.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
like look at their demographic.
I'm
and who
like
they
thinking like
select
it's
for.
probably some like racist political
It's-
bullshit.
It's you know, post Citizens United, corporations are people, and where they spend their money means they're a pretty shitty person. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so they contacted me and they were like, hey, and I was broke as fuck, just lost my farm, you know. And they're like, hey, we want to give you a free motorcycle and fly you around the country for a year and like have you do art for Harley. And I was thinking of it as like a freelance gig. I didn't realize like what it really entailed, right? And so that was like my first step into the weird parasocial relationship / like sponsorship life of somebody that has the aforementioned like social media clout shit. I hit the hard eject on that. Like, I'm not going there again, obviously, but I learned a big lesson in like selling your soul early for not a lot.
Yeah, know your worth. Knowing your worth is really fucking important.
Yeah.
Like,
And so that was a weird fucking thing though, of like everywhere I went for a year, there'd be like a Harley Davidson and a Rockstar energy drink dispenser because it was co-sponsored, and it's like I'm sitting at a table, and why did this Rockstar machine get plugged in? Like, it was fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that you learned that lesson early because of the latest, you know, sponsored drama with Artisan Builds. And they're now going under. Like, they're done. Their company is fucking kaput because of that shit.
Yeah, and rightly so. I read about that. I didn't like watch any clips or any of the like, you know, the oh god, what is it? Live stream fail that posts a lot of like compilations
live stream
of
fails.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of it, but I did read about it, and that sounded fucking awful.
Yeah, it was. The guy literally, I don't know if you watched the videos, the clips, but he literally like flambasted this person who just randomly won the giveaway for having like a low amount of followers between all of her socials combined. And he was like, nah, we can't give it to this person. Like,
It's fucking awful.
yeah. Wait, you didn't know about this?
No, so I had read that the
It's
place
true.
was getting canceled, right, and rightly so, for like screwing that person over.
They
But
screwed
I
the
didn't
person
know
over,
that-
and then the guy, quote unquote, apologized, but his apology was just like, sorry you don't fucking like it. Like,
Wow. The
LOL, good,
non-apology
good.
apology?
Yeah, it was a
Wow.
super non-apology apology because he was basically like, well, she should have just had more followers, Kappa, you know?
Wow, like clickheads get good lol forehead, like
Pretty
straight
much.
like XQC chat style.
Kind of. It was pretty close to that. And then there was like a my hand has been forced apology, but like you could still read that my hand has been forced to make this public statement apology.
So like
And
the
then the
Papa
company went
John's
over.
is hiring Shaq style second apology. Okay, that's fucking amazing.
It really was. I was just like, wow, this is a shitstorm. It's great. I like her though. She's she's good. She's graceful about it.
No, like more power to her. Like hopefully, you know what the irony is? I hope she actually did get exposure from those shitheads, and now people
She did.
appreciate her
She got a
work,
crap
you
ton
know?
of exposure, I'm sure.
Good, fucking A. Like so to put it out there, I'm about as far left as a human gets.
Wait, the CEO was tax evading too? Of course he was.
Oh, that's the
great.
shithead playbook. That's great. Him, Bezos, and Musk can all just hang out and be unethical together. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
for
I don't
her.
know. Oh man, that fucking sucks. I will say, like, I have been lucky in the same way that I've been lucky, like in relationships of late. Like, I've been lucky in my life to get to a point where I don't have to do art for other people anymore, and I don't have to worry about like selling my soul to the Monsantos of the world if they need an illustration. Like, I haven't had to do that work for a long time, and it's really gratifying. Like, I just get to make the shit I like now, and I feel for people that are out there engaging with stuff that they don't believe in. Like, you know, I see young artists like writing the NFT shit, and that's a fucking quagmire and
God.
awful. Like, talk about you brought up MLM in the part of your
Yeah,
stream
yeah.
before I got on. That's all it is. It's and it's an MLM that like nukes the environment. Like, congrats.
Oh, I brought up
Um,
MLMs and all that stuff. Like, I've just been ranting on that kind of stuff lately, in
Yeah.
general. Like, I always rant on it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's just one of those like topics in my head that I could probably go off about for a while.
Good to have
Yeah,
those in your back pocket.
NFTs. Yeah, a few of those. NFTs more like no fucking thanks is my go-to because
Yep.
it's literally sell a star but in the 21st century and it fucking messes up the environment. Yeah, I'm good. I'll pass.
And you're driving my gamer card prices higher. Like, it's like it's the perfect boogeyman. Like, if you can't get behind something that drives video card prices up, nukes the environment, and fucks over people that buy it and artists, like, what more do you need in terms of an ethical push?
Right.
Like,
Please stop. Although I did smash or pass on the monkey NFTs.
I like the idea that, like, you know, NFTs are terrible, but those fucking ape drawings are pretty cool. Like, just somebody that actually likes it for, like, that really middle tier art that is produced. That's kind of amazing too.
I mean, honestly, I've seen a couple of videos about
Yeah.
like people making like basically algorithms to like generate NFTs, and I'm just like, this is impressive. Like,
Well,
I'm
so
impressed.
there's an artist I know, and I won't name him because that's it, like, who he is isn't the point. Like, I'm not trying to just start shit for no reason, but he's famous. He makes a
Yeah.
shit ton of money. I know the people that do his prints. I know that he makes hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars a year off of his art prints alone, let alone his freelance work. And he engaged hard with NFTs, and he did it in the way that you're talking about, where he drew like 20 sets of eyes,
Yeah,
20 sets of
eyes,
mouths,
20 sets of
or
mouth.
20 noses, and
Noses.
something just shit them out, right? And I'm looking at it,
Color
I'm like,
palettes.
how much fucking money does one person need? Now, granted, I'm a left pinko commie Marxist. Like, I get it. I'm not like
Right.
pro capitalism as it is,
Yeah.
but just how much fucking money does one fucking dude need too? On top of it, like, you already
Greed
won the
begets
art
more
game.
greed. All right.
I guess fucking so, man.
I don't know. I think in a way it'd be funny if someone did that and then used all the money from NFTs for like super charitable causes, like laser targeted certain like charities and like things in like solved world hunger or something, or solved world
Right.
whatever, homelessness. That was my
Yeah.
thing, because like King Deadpool asked in the Discord before stream, like, how much money would a company need to pay you for you to sell out, and I said at least $1 billion.
Yeah.
Because then with $1 billion, I could probably solve a fucking lot of world problems.
You know, at the very least, you'd have a say in our current system of government because that's about what it takes. You have representation finally. Oh, nice.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that stuff. That's the shit that gets me really heated. Like, in addition to mental health topics along the lines of things that I've lived in and seeing people that are voiceless, like, our current state of politics is a fucking nightmare. But I will say, along those lines, one thing I've noticed is that people that grow up voiceless or have been abused often get into either social work themselves or things like animal rescue because they know what it's like to be voiceless, and they do try to like jump into good causes, right? And so it's not a surprise to me that you're like, what I would do is a good thing with the money. The problem is there's no such thing as a good billionaire. There's just not.
No.
Yeah. You don't get that way by being a good person, and so that's why we're
fucked right you get to be a billionaire through the exploitation of other people.
Stealing labor.
How it works.
That's the only way. Yeah.
You literally can't. Like, it's really fucking hard to conceive $1 billion as it is.
Right.
I remember a video about, like, trying a thought experiment. Can you even conceive $1 billion? And you really can't.
No, you can't.
Feasibly can't.
I think there's a study that's like the human mind starts not being able to tell groups apart when they number in larger than like 5. So add like 1 billion zeros to the end of that. Like we're fucked. We can't comprehend this. And the thing is, our political system has convinced everybody that they're just temporarily impoverished wealthy people, and so everybody votes against their own interests constantly, and it drives me fucking crazy.
Same, because I mean, it's all intentional, right? Just like everything here is intentional. Everything that they do is intentional, because if you keep the populace generally uneducated, generally ignorant, if you make them scared of, learning anything and being willfully ignorant, the safe, nice, kind American thing to do, then you have 30% of your population being like, I'm willfully ignorant and I'm proud. And, us super left liberal commie Marxists, where the fuck types, are just like, have you tried thinking lately and like using Google? And they're like, fuck you, you're just trying to convert me, you damn commie bastard. And I'm like, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, I would like a social safety net for people that are homeless or addicted or old. Like, can we just fucking do that, please?
Fuck you, they did that to themselves.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, is like, that ignorance is not a bug, right? Like, because if you... This isn't tinfoil hat shit. I'm not like super tinfoil
it's not
at all. But like, going back to Bacon's rebellion, like during the colonies, the slave class and the poor indentured class started a band together, and the leaders of the territories were like, oh, we need to give the indentured class like a little bit more wealth than the slave class, so that way they feel like protective of it, right? And that's the same playbook we've been doing since the 13 colonies. Like, we give the poor people just enough to be like,
enough
I don't want
to have the hope
that
they can rank up in their social credit score and their fucking socioeconomic level. And they make them so fucking scared, like, I can't share any part of my one cookie. People have 0 cookies, and it's like, and then some of us with like 1.5 cookies are just like, what about the guys with like 1 million bajillion cookies?
Right. Well,
maybe we should ask them to share.
I'm kind of glad I grew up where I did in a weird way, because it afforded me a couple of things. One, I was so I grew up around all people of color. I was the only white kid I knew growing up. And I liked that, because not that it gave me a total sense of my privilege or anything, because that's impossible, but it made me aware of my privilege early on. Because even in that situation where we were the lowest class citizens in the U.S., short of actually being homeless as family units, right? All of my friends and I. Even in that situation, like, I kind of ran with some gang kids and stuff, because that's what I grew up in early on, right? I was never in a gang, but I knew kids that were, and we'd get up to no fucking good. And when the paddy wagon would come, all the people of color would get loaded into the paddy wagon that were my friends, and the cops would be like, go home. And so even at like 10 to 13 years old,
it was super
I knew that the system was obviously
super blatant racist.
Super fucked, right? And
it's just like, white kids, nah, you got a future, go home. Black kids, no, go to jail. Do not
Yeah,
pass go.
and so like that's the thing is like I'm glad for it because if nothing else, it gave me a little taste early that like something was fucked in the system, right? I didn't understand it because I was too young, but I knew something was wrong.
Yeah. It's great. How do you navigate the current system and the current world, the current geopolitical climate at all? I know you're not a political streamer, but like, yeah, like,
I just wear it on my sleeve. Like
fair enough.
I basically just say like if in a perfect world where like people wouldn't fuck it up, I'm a Chomskyan like anarcho syndicalist. Like
Sure.
I just want people to have a fucking social safety net at the end of the day though. So what it
Mhm.
comes down to is like if all we can get is democratic socialism, fine. I
Sure.
just want free education and healthcare. Like, can we
Be
just get
nice.
that before I'm fucking dead? Like, that's kind of where I land. Is like, I'm as far left as we can get. Like,
I'd like
as far.
UBI as well, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean by like a social safety net. Like, we produce enough wealth. Enough wealth is stolen from our labor that
Mhm.
giving it back universally to us is the least the fucking government can do for us, right? But chances of that happening in our lifetime are so fucking slim.
I mean, the fact that we got 3 fucking like stimuluses was astounding. But like, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking that was gonna accomplish, really. Because it's just like, oh yeah, I have a little bit of money. I guess we could release some funds to y'all. Like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna pay anyone's rent realistically. If
No.
if you were actually out of work for those 2 years, 2
No,
plus years, like,
all it does is do exactly what we were talking about, which is provide a modicum of a social safety net, right? Because,
yep,
um, oh, Jen actually brings up. Oh, so two things. I'll be quick.
yep.
One,
I don't have to
that
be.
modicum of social safety net.
Mhm.
It's a thing where like statistically, at least a couple years ago, the last time I looked into it, the average American family is one $500 bill that's unexpected away from insolvency.
True.
One. And so those stimulus checks just kept people during an economic downturn in which we were being thrown like grist into the mill of capitalism as essential workers, moderately afloat. That's all it did, right? Didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And two, I was getting divorced during those stimulus checks,
Oof.
and my ex kept them all, illegally.
Yeah.
And I got a fucking tax bill, my first like independent, I'm out in the world, I'm trying to start over tax bill with all of the stimulus, all of the taxes owed on the stimulus checks that I didn't get. They were like, you claimed on your taxes you didn't get stimulus, but we show them as cash. And I'm like, I didn't fucking cash any. Oh, and so I ended up like getting turbo fucked on my taxes. Good, good. Pro government here, real pro government.
Oof. So if someone else cashed your stimulus checks, you get fucked?
Well, you do if you try to claim them on your taxes, because I didn't get them, so I should get credit for what other people got, which was a stimulus check. Like I never got them, so something went wrong. So I claimed you can do that. You can claim, what you didn't get.
Yeah, my friend just did that.
Yeah, and they're like, no, you got them, and I'm like, no, I didn't. And they're like, yeah, you did. And I'm like, cool. Well, not engaging with my abuser to get that resolved, so guess you'll just take more of my money. Like I didn't know what to do.
Ah,
Yeah.
shit. Well, that
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah,
And I might
it
have
was-
just fucked over my friend. Because,
Oh, really?
yeah, I helped her do her taxes.
No.
And she thinks that her mom might have, like, tried to claim her check, or she never got it, her mom stole it or something.
So
We claimed
wait,
it on her taxes, but
yeah,
she never got
wait,
it.
wait to see if she gets that letter. If
Yeah.
she does, she can talk to somebody at the IRS about like, hey, I think
Okay.
somebody illegally like cashed them. The problem is, and this is what I ran into,
Yep.
is that's fraud on the other person's part.
Yes, it is.
And so her mom could potentially go to jail for fraud.
Good.
And so she has to be willing to do that. And that's
yeah.
where I was. I was like, I don't even want to kick the
Fine.
hornet's nest. Like I've made a clean break. I'm fucking out of here. She sucks. I'm
Wow.
good. You know
I
what I
can't
mean?
talk for her, but I should probably
Yeah.
message her after this.
Yeah. It kind of turbo fucked me, so might
That
be worth
fucking sucks, and I'm gonna feel super personally responsible if it turbo fucks her. Great.
Well, I'm crossing fingers because I've been there.
I'm
you know,
crossing
and-
fingers too, but like,
Yeah.
if her mom goes to jail for fraud, her mom goes to jail for fraud.
Right.
because she's
And
her own independent person and she should not be being claimed on her taxes anyway. So, yep.
yeah, yeah, I've been there. It's not fun, and it's that thing where the little like I freelance, right? Freelancers get taxed like 40%, and then on top of it, I got that crazy bill I didn't know
Yeah.
was coming, and I'm like, can Bezos pay any taxes, please? Because I don't make a lot of money, and I'm giving like half of it to the government. Like, can he just pay something, please?
Actually, Mama Bear, just to be fucking brutally accurate with you, it wasn't the stimulus checks that were making people mad lazy. It was the increased pay to the unemployment fund. People on unemployment got paid extra, so effectively they're basically getting paid more, if not significantly more than what they would be paid normally during, working during the pandemic. So it wasn't that they were lazy, it was that they were just trying to fucking keep themselves safe, you know? So they didn't want to be an essential worker working for minimum wage when they could just get the same amount on the increased payment with unemployment.
Well, it's
And
that thing,
I
Waba.
just generally don't like the implication that people are innately lazy. People don't do things. We've proven this over and over again on other sociological tests. Is that people aren't lazy when it comes to work. Most people aren't lazy when it comes to work.
Yep.
There's purpose.
It's
Sorry,
almost
go
like
on.
election fraud. There's almost none of it, yet we hear about it constantly. Same thing with welfare fraud. There's almost none of it statistically. People don't want to be lazy. What they do want, though, is fair pay during the middle of a pandemic when they're risking their lives. And so if you give it, like, I don't blame people for being like, this is technically enough for me to live on. I don't want to go be a waitress and catch COVID and die. So I'm going to stay the fuck home because minimum wage is
Right.
bullshit in this country.
It
It hasn't
is.
changed since like 2002, I think, something like that federally. And
Federally,
so,
no, hasn't changed
yeah,
for years.
yeah. So you're telling me 20 years, 20 some odd years later, give or take, like that we're supposed to work for the same amount and survive? Like, no, fuck you. So yeah, take that stimulus check that you've been paying into your whole life because you're not going to get any Social Security. You'll probably be gone by the time we all retire. Like, at least you get fucking something. It's the least they can do. And yeah, stay the fuck home. You know what? Actually, general strike, get the system stopped, grind everything to a halt, then maybe we'll get change. Like, no, I have absolutely no empathy for the government in this regard.
Yeah, absolutely not. And it definitely sucks for your area, Mama Bear, that there was a shortage of nurses, caregivers, everything. Um, but the thing with nurses, there's been like a big incentive for travel nurses. Like they've been
Yeah.
paying like crazy amounts of money. So people have been traveling to other states just to like work for like double or even triple what they would
Yep.
get paid normally.
Yep.
Um,
I
but
have a
nursing
friend who
again is
just
another
became
profession that's super, super dangerous. Yeah, what's up?
I have a friend that just became a travel nurse for that reason. Like,
Yeah.
there is a shortage, but the thing is, like, we also have a system because of the like neoliberal bent to like everybody should go into engineering or programming because that's how you don't be poor. And it's like, no, like people go to college, they spend a shit ton of money, they find that they're underpaid and undervalued in the workforce, no matter if they have a degree, and the cycle repeats. Like, what everybody probably should have been doing is going to fucking a vocational school, learning like plumbing or something. Like, I don't know, man. Everything's just so fucking fucked.
There's a lot of things that people should be doing all the time, right? But you never know that, hindsight is 2020, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
hopefully this is not just 2020 part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Um,
it's 2020 New Game Plus.
New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So I'm a high school dropout. That's the thing. Like, I'm self-taught when it comes to the art stuff.
Sure.
I left home when I left home. I was in AP classes getting college credits, but I was going to a Catholic school at the time, and because I got a ride to it from being like in a bad neighborhood and doing well academically. They're like, here, you can go here. And so I did that, and I'm glad for the foundation that gave me. But the interesting thing was I was trying to emancipate myself from those abusive parents. And the archdiocese in Chicago, in that part of Chicago, I don't exactly know how the strata works there, like the gerrymandering of Catholicism. Um, but they were like, we actually don't believe in emancipation from problematic parents. It's kind of against our core Christian values, so fuck you. And they wouldn't give me my credits, and so I dropped out of school. And in a weird way, by opting out, of like the college money cycle and immediately entering the workforce as a designer, I ended up in a better spot, weirdly. So again, at times in my life, I've had good luck. Like I do appreciate that the success I've had is not a pull yourself up by your bootstraps thing. It's not that like John Galt, Ayn Rand, like a nose to the grindstone. Like I've had a few lucky breaks, I have, and I'm grateful for them. And that's the unfortunate thing is like a lot of times it takes lucky breaks to do okay, and not everybody gets a lucky break.
I agree definitely. I mean, the idea of that you even would have to rely on luck to be stable is ridiculous, and that is actually technically true in today's fucking economy. You know, it's just
Absolutely.
like you either get a job that you can actually sustain yourself on, or you get a million roommates and, you know, hope one of them isn't a murderer, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Like, I know people more talented than me. I know people that have worked harder than me. And they haven't had some of the same successes. And it's not because they're unworthy. There's not some Victorian puritanical work shall set you free bullshit that they didn't adhere to. Like, they did the thing capitalism told them to do. And at the end of the day, it just didn't work out. And that's the system's fault. That's not their fault.
Yeah. You should do it though, Mom Bear. I fucking hate your parents. I genuinely have hatred in my heart for your parents because they gave you a fucked up sense of a lot of things. And one of those is financial shit. Like,
that was a big thing for me too, Mama Bear. Like, I was terrified of money for the longest time because I grew up with none of it. I was then in a relationship with somebody who was older who controlled me by controlling the purse strings. And when I went out on my own, I was terrified. Like, I was like, oh God, I don't even know if I can do this. Because I never saw a dime of the money I made before I went out on my own. Like, I just didn't. And when people give you a fucked up sense of money, like, talk about the horrors of capitalism. Pair capitalism with abuse, and all of a sudden you have a perfect stew for like a really hard life. So I hope that you do get that independence. And oftentimes, unfortunately, independence only comes after financial independence. And so a lot of times I have people in my community that are like, my parents are super toxic, they're terrible, they dead name me, they're shitty.
yeah.
And it's like, I know you don't like, and they're also saying things to me like, but the problem is, like, I can't find a job around here. I can't, you know, I can't find financial independence. And I'm like, you may have to do something drastic, even if it's like moving states away with a friend and like getting any job at a shitty gas station paying you nothing and saving, like, find something, because until you have financial independence, you're probably going to be stuck with those problematic parents.
Absolutely true. And that's literally a situation that happened for me.
Oh yeah.
That I'll step people through at some point. I've been promising for a long time I'm just gonna start a stream one day and just be like, all right, this is my story. Here we go. It's going on YouTube. Say hi, YouTube. But yeah, that ass. It's just like ridiculous.
I'd have that conversation with you sometime, like, even if it's offline, about financial control and abuse, because that is absolutely something that was central to me being stuck in a bad situation for a long time.
Same. My parents, on multiple occasions, threatened, mostly my mom, basically just my mom, threatened to pull financial funding from me if effectively I just didn't do what they said.
Understood.
You know, I was really depressed and really anxious about it, but I definitely in Drexel at a certain point, I was just like accepting. I was like, listen, I know I'm going to fail out. I'm not doing the things I need to be doing, and I don't have the capacity to do the things I need to be doing. So I'm just going to enjoy my last, 10 weeks here.
Right.
Cause yeah, it was fucked. And my mom's held it over my head ever since, or held it over my head for a long, long time. Basically, I was just like, well, we paid all this money for you to go to Drexel, and you know, you funked out or whatever. Like, you know, you're costing us all this money. It was always about like you're costing us money here and you're costing us money there.
Yeah.
Oh, and now you want to go straight to community college? I'm like, yes, I do, because I want to try it at the lowest level. I want to try computer science at the lowest level and see how I do. And I did shit. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I like that one psychology course in high school, so I'm gonna do psychology. And then I got all A's. And then I wanted to transfer to schools, and they're like, apply to 5 schools. I'm like, I want to apply to 1 school because A of all, I could probably get in. It's SUNY Albany. And B of all, my friends up there, so I'll know someone. No, you should apply to 5 schools. Fine, I'll apply to 5 schools. Great, I got into all 5 schools. I'm going to U Albany still. Like,
there you go. Yeah, like that accomplished a lot. Thanks. Yeah.
Like, thanks. That, yeah, we did a whole lot. Oh, you gotta visit. Well said. I'll visit all the schools. Great. Okay, fine. We'll visit the schools, even I don't want to go to them.
Yeah.
Like,
constantly jumping through
So
hoops
dumb.
for the shifting expectations of somebody that has learned to control you with money is it's acrobatic, to say the least.
Is that what it is? Frankie's gonna sit next to me with it as well, so they're probably gonna help me with articulate what exactly was happening, because I can't even piecemeal it or process it all, honestly. And I've processed it, a bunch of it, in therapy before. So, and I'm not in therapy now, which sucks, but this is my therapy.
Same, actually. Yeah, I'm hoping to like someday have health insurance again. Is kind of where I'm at. Like that's the thing with freelance is like I can't afford.
Wouldn't it be nice to have
therapy?
and
I also yeah, exactly.
I mean, what state are you in?
So I'm in Pennsylvania. I make
Yeah.
enough. I make enough to not get social, like any sort of assistance.
Disability,
but I
or
also
not disability. Medicare
yeah.
or Obamacare, $20 plan per month. No.
Oh, is there? Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into it.
Yes. Does your state has a marketplace? I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. I'll look into it.
So you can go to the marketplace, and you can buy insurance there, and the plan should be $20 if your income is below, I want to say like 45,000 maybe.
I qualify out. Yeah, I won't be able to make. That's the thing is I like
Okay.
I like do well, but I also don't do so well that it's like I'm just gonna spend money on insurance. Like I don't know. It's a weird. I'm in a weird like strata of doing well enough, but not so well that I have the disposable income to be like. I looked into some of the marketplace stuff. I lived in Kansas before this, and partly because Kansas was actively trying to deter people from getting on the rolls, so all their plans are super shitty. I couldn't afford any of them that didn't have a deductible that made it make sense. And so it's that's the thing is like when they removed the individual mandate and did some other things, the Obamacare stuff became a lot less affordable. And even that, like, that's such a fucking half measure. Like, we should just have, universal healthcare, and I don't know.
I mean, it was basically an expansion on the existing quote-unquote universal healthcare for those who are, whatever, either in disability or poor and can't work, or just poor and just, are working a fucking full-time job and still qualify, as I did for quite a while, for the $20 plan, because, they don't fucking pay a living wage to anyone.
No, you're right. Yep. Yeah, my situation. You'll relate to this, I think, given your past with your parents and money.
Certainly.
My ex, when she would hide the money I made on freelance and report as little as possible, and she'd show me like my taxes would show I made like almost no money while I'm doing work for Van Halen, for the Wu-Tang Clan, like big fucking clients, right? And I never understood it, but I also was a 16-year-old kid that went straight in this relationship, right? And so there's all this money that was being made that I wasn't seeing, and she'd be like, "You can't make it without me. Like, you don't make enough on your illustration work. Like, you'd have to work 2 jobs." And like, I was just again also with that background of being poor, I was terrified of being poor again. And when I left her, I went to open my first like bank account in my name at 38. Like, talk about a weird fucking life, but that's where I was. And I called the bank, and they're like, "Oh, we already have an account in your name." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" "Oh yeah, we have an account in your name. It doesn't have a lot in it, but it's in your name, and so we can't open another account for you." And it turned out she had open accounts in my name at most major banks and put tiny amounts of money in them. And that's one of the ways she was keeping the money from being reported, is because all of it was under the 10K or whatever it is amount that has to be reported to the government. So I had this interesting thing where I was trying to get financial independence, and I called every major banking institution in the country, and I had an account at all of them already.
Interesting. Were you able to take control of those accounts and like withdraw the funds or whatever?
Yeah, so that, yes, but they all, like, that's the thing, is she'd already taken most everything out. They were just kind of like open zombie accounts at that point. But it went to show how she was doing it, because it was like, there's $15 in this one, there's no dollars in this one, but we already have your information on file. What do you mean you don't know your PIN? Like, that kind of a thing.
Sounds like she could go to jail for tax evasion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly.
Well, would it surprise you to know that this person was involved in politics?
No. Not at all.
That's why I just wanted out. Like, I just wanted fucking out. And that's why
fair.
It's that thing where it's like, they probably have friends that are lawyers that'll work for free, because that was also a threat that was always levied against me.
Yep.
Like, if you want, like, I'm connected, like, I'll make your life a living hell forever. Like, luckily that hasn't happened, because like I said, I had enough dirt that I could just get the fuck away.
Certainly.
And that's good enough for me. I'll start over. I don't need that money. What I need is to not be in that shadow. And so I was just glad to get the fuck out of there.
Makes sense to me. Honestly, I wouldn't want to. Even if they like came back and they're like, "Oh my god, giant scandal came up with this person." Well, I mean, that's a good question. If a giant scandal came out about this person, would you throw your hat in the ring of being like, "Yeah, and this happened to me"?
Probably. I mean, I have recordings where things were admitted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd have a pretty fucking strong case.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's not like hearsay or something. Like, it's evidence. So yes. It's also that thing where, like, it was case in point. Remember that counselor that was inappropriate with me?
Yep.
Like, I could, I'm sure, report them too. What I'm trying to get good about is standing up for myself in those instances.
Yes.
I have no problem standing up for other people. I've always been good
God.
at that.
Yeah,
but when
you're
it comes
about to
to
attack
me
me here.
When it comes to me, though,
right,
fucking terrible. I don't. And
I've been getting a lot better at standing up for myself, I feel, especially on streams.
yeah. How's that working? Like, what are the
honestly,
practical effects of that for you?
What are the what?
What are the practical effects of that? Like, how do you feel? What has it changed? Like, I'm curious, as somebody who's struggling with that too, like, what's it done for you?
What's it done for me, or how have I done it?
Both, I guess. Like, how's it going, and then how do you feel afterwards is probably the better way to put it.
It basically goes and starts with setting boundaries in my own brain, in my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I don't state all of them, but I feel like some are pretty, like, inherent in, like, what I do and how I conduct myself and how I run my streams.
Sure.
So when someone crosses it, I'm unfortunately or fortunately very blunt and very quick to just be like, hey, no. But, like,
Okay.
that's cool, but, like, what do you want about? Like, okay, like, moving on.
Right.
Like, that happened during yesterday's mental health talks, or Saturday's mental health talks, where someone came in and said something that was, like, completely off topic, just so fucking random, and I was just like, and, like, I read it because I thought it was, like, relevant on topic, and then I was, like, midway through, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? Okay,
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes choosing not to engage is enough action.
Oh,
right?
I should have not engaged, but at the time I was pretty tired, so I was just, like, reading chat because we were in a segment where we were reading chat and we were in between guests.
Yep.
So I was saying, like, oh, how's everyone doing? Do you have any questions so far? You know. And
Sure.
then someone's like, this thing, and I'm like, I literally, like, did, like, the look around. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yep.
Like, I just make a joke of it now because I'm just like,
That's probably the
who
best
are
thing
you?
can do. Yeah.
I'm not the one. Like,
Yeah.
I miss Mr. Buttlicker though. He was great. He was good. He was funny. We had a troll whose name was his first name was like a crude name for butt.
Okay. Okay.
It was effectively like a slur for ass
Okay.
and then liquor.
Okay.
But the slur for ass was so esoteric, no one would have like gotten it unless they like knew that language. It
Right.
was different language. So
Like
we just call.
gluteal
I looked it up and I was like, interesting name. Hello, Mr. Liquor, Mr. Butt Liquor. And Mr. Butt Liquor was asking me to like react to some like comedy something or other, and I'm just like, sir, this is a Wendy's, sir. We're playing words on stream. The category says words on stream. Do you not see the giant words on stream game here? Like, I made a whole fucking spectacle of it. I loved it. It was hilarious. It's probably not what you should do when you get a troll, but like, I was just so Oh, is that a bussy? Bussy. Not the Bussy.
Fantastic.
I fucking love you, Bussy. You're VIP now. Let's go.
That's
good timing.
Yeah, I saw that. I
don't know who you are, but that's good timing.
Come up, and that's
beautiful.
You ever see the Reddit post where it's like perfect name response to
Yep.
thread start? That was that, but on Twitch. Yeah.
Bussy boy 69.
That's really good. I've had a similar kind of thing happen with like setting boundaries on stream, in a way to like empower myself.
Yeah.
I started I lost that weight. I felt good about how I looked. I got fitter. I was doing like push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and other stuff, and I was getting like thirst I didn't want, and I was trying to figure out like where is that line? Like where is somebody being like, oh, you look good today versus like take it off, right? And Twitch is this weirdly personal thing in
it's
that
both.
parasocial. Yeah, and it's hard to find that line. And I'm also bad at responding like when women are extra with me, in part because of the abuse that I suffered. Like sometimes I fainting goat on it, and I was just starting to get better at it, but still not great at it. When like real life came through and I started to stream less, but yeah, it's hard to find a good way to deal with that stuff in chat. And for me, sometimes making a joke of it worked, sometimes ignoring it worked. It kind of depended on what the person was looking for, I think.
It absolutely depends on the situation. I feel when it comes to like hate raids, I tell people like, listen, chat, this is what we're gonna do, and it's spam love emotes. That's it.
Yeah.
Because they are calling them love raids, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, like. Depending on what they're looking for, if they're not getting that response, or if they're not getting any response for some of them, it's all you can do. It's unfortunate. I don't know, but for all the bad things that come along with opening yourself up and trying not to be blatantly parasocial, there's a lot of good too. You know, there's a lot of good.
Absolutely. I was talking about that. Actually, do you want to talk about parasocial relationships? Because that's a fucking thing. I know I had a whole thing about it before, but you were only in chat. So tell me, how do you feel about parasocial relationships and being a content creator?
So this is something I would talk about on stream all the fucking time.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not super into parasocial relationships. Like, if you're going to hang out, I feel like the thing I should do as somebody who is earning an income off of this is try to find some time to hang out in voice chat, make it less fucking weird. And that was a solution in large part, right? But what that does do, though, is it can make you an emotional dumping ground for hundreds of people. And that's an additionally hard thing. So there are ways to mitigate parasocial relationships with folks on Twitch, but you do have to start to set those boundaries that you're getting better at, and I'm trying to get better at, where it's like, yes, I want to hang out, I want to be friendly with you, I don't want it to be one-sided and fucking weird, but at the same time, I'm not your therapist, you know?
Right. I don't think I fully answered your question. So you asked me in two parts, basically. How do I do the thing with like, God, what was the question? Fuck me.
So now that you're setting those boundaries, like, how does it leave you feeling afterwards? Now
does it leave you feeling?
Up for yourself. Yeah.
Empowered, because in my mind, I have full fucking control of my stream, my community, and at this point, I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna deal with your shit. I would rather my viewer count go -1 and +5 later, than have it go +1 and then a bunch of toxic bullshit.
That's fair.
Like, nah. Hello, sea
And-
cleaner. Why are you here? No thanks. I'll miss out. Thank you.
Well, and that's the thing that you hit on though. There is like, as a streamer, the other side of that is like our dependency on numbers going up, on the number getting bigger, right? Like that terrible friction.
Numbers don't mean shit if you don't
I know.
have the community. Period.
Yep.
If you have not, what's the word I want to use? If you've not cultivated the community that you actually want to have, then the number of people in your chat is fucking worthless.
Yep.
And I hate to say it that way, but numbers are shit. People are everything.
Yeah.
People are everything. Appreciate the people that are actually there and there for you. A number is just a number.
Well, and that's the thing that I learned.
Have a good night, Nikon.
I learned before Twitch. Remember
Yeah.
I said I got that weird fucking deal with Harley where like I rode around on a motorcycle for a year and somehow that was my job?
Did you get to keep the motorcycle?
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And they taught me to ride it. Like I got to be in parades and shit. It was fucking weird. It's
wild.
The thing that taught me is the other people that were there was like a gold medal X Games winner, a UFC champion, like a rapper of some renown, and like me. And I was like, why me? Is the thing I asked the Harley social media people. And they're like, you don't have the numbers of these other folks, but your engagement is through the fucking roof. And it was because I was just me. I was just authentic.
Same.
And it's like, yeah, I guess I fucking talk to people. So if that's what engagement is, like, I value conversation.
That is what engagement is, because when you're a business and you're so fucking indoctrinated into the business world, talking to your customers, whoa, unheard of. That's like major engagement. Props, bro. That you're not just like 24/7 gluing yourself to SEO algorithms and, you know.
What's the thing? I didn't know shit about
colors
that.
Are great.
I just talked to fucking people, you know, like it was the easiest thing in the world. It's like, hey, I make art. You have made a comment on it. The least I can. It's again, I have that feeling of the least I can do. It's like if you're gonna be in my stream, the least I can do is not make it weird and try to be friendly with you. If you're going to look at my art and comment on it, the least I can do is say, hey, thanks for having an opinion or stopping by. Right? Like weird.
Twitch is, if nothing, like both the easiest and the hardest kind of job in the world. Content creation in general can be. Because you can be like super, and honestly, a lot of like success to Twitch and content in general, content creation is marketing, which is why I've started to like lean more on like doing clickbaity kind of like YouTube titles and tags and shit like that.
Like you with a shocked expression on your face, like mental health.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
This artist said what?
No, you won't believe. Doctors hate
You
him.
won't believe what this Ren and Stimpy artist said about their parents.
They were bad.
Whoa!
I love that. I mean, the thing is,
I should get a thumbnail of Ren and Stimpy, like a Ren and Stimpy like drawing in progress, and just be like, and like have your face, just be there, just crying or something.
Here, actually, I'll give you the.
Okay.
There you go. That's
Thank you.
just screenshot
I stream markered that.
Yeah. There you go. We're perfect. We're golden.
Golden. I'm just gonna cut that out and overlay it on Ren and Stimpy, with like a
SpongeBob cry pants. Yeah.
Just Ren and Stimpy one half, SpongeBob the other half, and your sad face on one of them, and me as like, I don't know, something SpongeBob character.
Just you like pontificating, like deep in thought. Yeah. Fucking A. Oh man, this shit's.
Oh
so
yeah,
fun.
you should get the SpongeBob one where they're doing the thinking man. And I'll just be like,
I like that. If you want, I'll give you some of the SpongeBob art I made. If you'd like some of that.
yes.
Okay.
Powder toast.
God damn.
I don't know, something clickbaitable. It's fine.
Sounds good.
Rex,
SpongeBob
VC
no
one.
pants? Problematic? Question mark.
This SpongeBob and Ren and Stimpy artist was what? You'll never believe what happened to this Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob artist.
The Emperor has no pants?
Number 3 will shock you.
I love the idea of like an ordered list of trauma that you have to click slides through with interstitial ads. That's fucking perfect.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, turn your camera back on.
All right, hold on 1 second. I'm switching over.
You're a wrecked wizard. Get out of here. You're not the guest tonight. Fuck off. I love you.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Bye. Get out of here. Get gone. Put on some pants. Oh, small
Like-
child.
Tiny person. Hi, tiny person.
Hello.
Hi, other person.
Hello.
Hi.
We're both on a thing.
Yes, I'm totally late. Hi, guys.
You're fine. Welcome
job.
in.
Thank you. My job sucks all life out of me.
You're so short compared to Rex, so the camera's just like, this is great. Welcome in.
Thank you.
This is
So
Plum
what
Bob
did we-
Princess. We were just itemizing and BuzzFeed quizzing Frenden's trauma, as
Yeah.
we do on Mental Health Monday.
Yeah,
Right.
listicles. Listicles of trauma. It's the hot new thing.
Oh my god, it's so weird not being in my setup. I'm sorry. I'm like, where the fuck do I look? Like,
Well, it's
It's-
like whenever
Camera.
you're in a Zoom call, just look at yourself. That's what we all do. We're all vainglorious. We're all looking at ourselves.
I
in
mean,
this
I am.
fucking
I'm
thing.
looking at myself on OBS here. Here you go. I'm just looking at myself. There I am.
because
See?
Rex little
There
setup
I
is
am.
so weird. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna look here. But I'm like, ooh, I'm so greasy. And I'm like shiny. Whatever. The Trulies will help me forget I'm shiny.
You're sparkling.
I'm sparkling.
You're radiant.
I'm radiant. Literally was like, let me throw on some highlighter. I just left work and I look like poop. And let me put this hat on. I don't know. I threw myself together. Had to eat some food because I was hungry.
Well, I hatfish people all the time.
Ah, okay. Totally didn't even think that was what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Catfish.
My God, you're actually an aging septuagenarian. Just like my skin
That's
all immediately
hilarious.
sagged. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So you guys just been chit chatting and
In Mrs.
Hanging.
Mojo, and this is the top 10. I'm Mr. Mojo, and this is top 10 traumatic moments in Frenden's life.
okay.
Number 7 is shocking.
Number 7 will surely make you shit your pants.
Oh, that is hilarious. Well, I'm happy I'm finally here. Sorry it took me forever and a day.
It's alright. I don't know when you need to tap out as well, Frenden.
It's actually, now's not the worst time. It's pretty close to the 2-hour mark. I'm catching a flight at about 3 a.m. tonight.
Yeah, what the
Uh,
fuck?
Ooh.
Where are you going,
yeah.
Frenden?
I'm going to Disney World. Definitely not problematic at all, and I'm definitely supporting a corporation that's probably terrible. I'm just gonna go get on a ride, y'all. I want to drink and go on rides. That's all I
That's
want.
fun though.
Yeah,
That's
really, though.
fun.
Yeah, but I'm glad I got to be on for a little while you were here too. It's nice to make your acquaintance.
Nice
I'll
to
watch
make
your
your
segment.
acquaintance.
Wait,
I
Mom
think
Bear
it was-
says hit you up on Discord.
What's
High
that?
key. Because they went to Disney World.
Oh,
And they love
okay.
Disney World.
Okay, all right. Well then, maybe I can feel a little bit better about going.
Yeah, Mom Bear's gonna like financial tutor you about it or something.
Okay.
She's gonna be
okay.
like, you gotta get into these 3 side businesses, side hustles.
Well,
Sorry, let me use the right lingo.
Jen also is like hyper into like how to maximize a Disney experience. So
Hell
I feel
yeah.
like there's Venn diagram overlap of like 100% here on the sort of shit that's gonna get funneled my
go.
way. So.
Oh, she's Oprahing you. Oh no, you know it's bad.
All right. Well, hopefully I can survive the tutelage that is getting fucking piped my way on the internet.
Oh,
here,
I
but-
got it to a science. All right, Mom Bear, you hit up those DMs.
But yeah,
Wish you luck.
But yeah, Wizard. It's I'm glad to be on here. I'm sorry I have to go just as you got on, but I
This
should
is Plum
probably-
Bob Princess. Rex Wizard
Yeah.
Oh,
was
that's
was
right.
the dude.
That's just the other account. All right, Plum.
Yeah, it was so nice to meet you. And
Yeah.
I will see you again.
Sounds good. Night, everybody. Thanks for
Alrighty.
having me.
Good night.
Good night.